Hey everybody and welcome to the Sim channel. In this video we will finally review the Heusinkveld Sim Pedals Pro. I've had these pedals for over a year now, and in the meantime they were discontinued and replaced with a Sim Pedals Sprint. I still decided to go forward with this review since some of you may be in the market for a used set of Pros, and many of the points I make in this video will also carry over to the Sprint pedals. Let's start with a little disclaimer. I got these pedals as part of a sponsorship deal for placing Heusinkveld banners on Sveag Raceway, my mod track for Assetto Corsa. Please check it out on Race Department if you haven't already, a link is in the description. However, the sponsorship deal has no bearing on this review and you'll get my unfiltered opinion on these pedals. I'm assuming most of you won't need an introduction to the Sim Pedals Pro. They're the tall, all-metal pedals you've probably seen in a gazillion YouTube and Facebook videos before. Priced at around 700 euros for the set of 3, with an extra 100 euros for the baseplate, they were Heusinkveld's entry-level pedal set before the Sprints came out. The larger siblings, the Ultimates, are still on sale and come with hydraulic dampers on all 3 units, stronger load cells, and cost almost twice as much. The Pro line consists of 5 main pieces of hardware: the throttle, the brake, the clutch, the optional baseplate, and the electronics board. On top of that, there's the USB cable to connect to your PC, a bunch of Allen wrench keys and wrenches for assembly and setup, and a couple of rubber bushings for the brake pedal. The pedals feature an all-metal construction and are assembled by hand in the Netherlands. I've actually had the pleasure of visiting their factory in Groningen about a year and a half ago and made a little factory tour video for you guys, so check it out if you haven't already. You'll find the link in the description below. The choice of materials and the use of load cells for all readings essentially ensures the highest possible durability, and the lack of any glue on the pedals guarantees perfect repairability. If you want, you can completely dismantle and reassemble all 3 pedals. On top of this, the customer service at Heusinkveld is, in my experience, pretty much all you could wish for. If you have any issue with your set of pedals, just get in touch and you'll be taken care of. But all of this only matters if the pedals themselves are good at their job, so let's check them out individually. We'll start with the throttle. As you push the pedal down, a spring gets compressed, delivering a linearly increasing force until you reach a soft stop. At the same time, a smaller spring near the pedal axis pushes on the load cell in the pedal base. With respect to setup options, the throttle allows you to set up the resistance, spring preload, and travel range to your liking. The travel adjustment is simply done by moving the soft stop up to cut off the pedal travel earlier. The pedal resistance ranges from too light to stiff, which means you'll probably be able to find your personal sweet spot within the provided range, as long as you're using all or most of the travel. Cut the travel range in half and you'll want something near the stiffest setting for it not to be too soft. Overall, setting up the throttle is easy and quick. All you need are the Allen wrenches and wrenches that come with the pedal, and you can adjust any of the settings in a matter of seconds. Operationally, the pedal just does what it's supposed to. It's very smooth, very precise, and I wouldn't know what to improve about it. Straight A. Next up is the clutch pedal. This pedal is functionally similar to the throttle, but has a slightly more complicated mechanism that allows the pedal forces to drop off again after a defined bite point. This imitates the feel of a real clutch, and the solution found by Heusinkveld actually feels quite nice. There are a couple of setup options that allow you to adjust the overall pedal force and preload, as well as the sharpness of the bite point and pedal travel. Most important to how the clutch feels is the choice of leverage point for the swiveling rear part of the clutch. Unfortunately, to change this, you have to take the pedal apart quite a bit. Experimenting with these settings will take you at least a few minutes per iteration, and this can quickly become quite annoying. Once you've set them up to your liking, this won't bother you anymore, but it would still be nice to have a more user-friendly solution for the pedal setup. My other gripe about the clutch pedal is that I'd like the peak pedal force to be higher and the bite point to be earlier in the travel range so that I can shorten the pedal travel without losing the bite point altogether. As it stands, choosing an early bite point will make the pedal feel very light. I don't know how clutch pedals typically feel in race cars, but I've driven a number of road cars with stiffer clutch pedals than this. Nonetheless, the customer service helped me to find a compromise that I'm quite satisfied with, and I simply stopped worrying about it. Overall, the Pro-Line clutch pedal is still a very good pedal. Arguably the most important of the 3 is the brake pedal. In racing, how confidently you can apply the brakes has a big impact on both your fastest lap times as well as your consistency. One part of this equation are your car's grip levels, brakes, and overall balance. The other part would be your physical brake pedal, and this can absolutely make a big difference with respect to how confidently you can apply the brakes. At this point, let's make a little distinction between two things that I think should be discussed separately: how the brake pedal feels haptically and how it reads your input. Like the other two pedals, the brake pedal uses a load cell to measure your input. This load cell is essentially an aluminum bar with a little conductor path on a thin sheet of plastic glued on top of it. When you keep one end of the bar fixed and push against the other, it will bend ever so slightly, causing the conductor path to change its resistance. This change in resistance allows us to very precisely measure the force that's acting on the long end of the bar, even though the warping is barely visible to the naked eye. By itself, the use of a load cell instead of a potentiometer thus has no impact at all on how it feels to step on the brake pedal. Instead, the haptic sensation depends on whatever it is that you put between the pedal plate and the long end of the load cell. Most non-hyper-expensive pedals use springs, rubber bushings, or a mix of these to provide a progressively stiffening brake pedal feel. The Heusinkveld Pros are no exception to this and come with a short spring, a number of softer white rubber bushings, and a few stiffer black rubber bushings. Stack up a selection of your choice on the central rod to get the brake feel you desire. Experimenting with different combinations is quick and simple, and you can even extend your options by getting additional springs or bushings with different spring and damping rates. As I prefer a softer brake, I took out the spring and replaced some of the white rubber bushings with even softer orange ones. These come straight out of a skate shop, and it shouldn't be too hard to find them in a variety of stiffness settings online. In the end, with this combination of bushings, the brake pedal feels just right to me. I sometimes wish it had an adjustable stop like the other two pedals to provide a precise reference for when the brake pressure is maxed out, but this is only a minor point. So if a load cell and a potentiometer brake can feel identical to one another, what exactly is the big difference then? As mentioned before, a load cell measures force, while a potentiometer measures the pedal's angle at the axis. This allows load cell brakes to be set up very stiff and still provide precise readings of the force you exert on the pedal, while a potentiometer will at some point struggle to provide the necessary precision. Even in softer pedals with more treble, a load cell brake gives you a direct reading of the force you exert on the pedal, as opposed to trying to reconstruct this force from pedal treble, which is never fully accurate. A load cell will thus allow you to be more consistent with your brake points and helps to avoid lockups in cars without ABS. The load cell in the Pro pedals reaches its maximum readout value at 50 kilograms of force. By comparison, Fanatic load cell pedals will measure up to 90 kilograms of force, and Heusinkveld's Ultimate pedals will go up to 136 kilograms. And while of course a higher maximum force is better, 50 kilograms should be enough for most use cases, and I never really felt like it was too little. To consistently put 50 kilograms of pressure on the pedal does take some getting used to, but you can of course reduce the force needed to max out the brake reading in software if you wish to do so. One issue that I've had with my brake pedal was that it had a little bit of lateral play when slightly compressed, which was particularly notable under right foot braking when moving the foot over from the throttle, and obviously this didn't have my trust in the brake while driving. I reported this issue to Heusinkveld and got a replacement brake delivered within a few days. With the new pedal, this problem was less notable from the start and went away completely once I replaced the spring with rubber bushings. I can now happily report to have a brake pedal I can absolutely trust under all circumstances. In conclusion, this brake gives you precise control over the applied brake pressure, allowing you to use your muscle memory to brake very consistently even without the use of ABS, and it's very easy to set up the haptic feel of the pedal to your liking. As a side note, it should be clear that a stack of rubber bushings alone can't quite simulate the behavior and sensation of a real car's hydraulic brake system, but that's just something we'll have to live with, unless we're willing to spend quite a lot more than even the price of the Heusinkveld Pros. And finally, the baseplate. This is a single, very simple, thick and heavy piece of aluminum with holes and a few threads that allows you to mount all three pedals as well as the electronics board. It comes with straight and angled mounting rails to allow mounting in pretty much all rigs. Its simplicity, however, is also its greatest weakness. Moving a pedal towards or away from you, left or right, requires you to unmount the entire base plate from your rig, adjust the pedal, mount it back in, see how you like it, and repeat this process until you're satisfied. This procedure can get quite annoying and can make you wish for a more sophisticated solution. It also wouldn't hurt if it were just a little wider to allow for more space between the pedals. To me, it feels just right at the widest settings, but for some it may still feel a little narrow. My last point of criticism would be that unlike the pedals themselves, It's fairly easy to scratch up the surface of the base plate during mounting and adjustment of the pedals. This can make the base plate look very used very quickly. Still, it's not a deal breaker, and I'm definitely better off with than without it, as it saved me the trouble of coming up with a mounting solution on my own. Let's get to the final verdict, consisting of pros, cons, and my personal wish list. On the pro side we have great heavy-duty industrial design, all metal construction, very durable, great repairability, precise and reliable readings thanks to load cells in all 3 pedals, stiff enough for use with shoes, perfect throttle pedal, good clutch and brake pedals, lots of setup options with respect to positioning, travel, and resistance of the pedals, and great customer service. And the cons would be, the pedals easily collect dust and dirt due to a lack of housing and are difficult to keep absolutely clean. Setting up the clutch pedal is quite cumbersome. The base plate makes adjustments to pedal positions cumbersome as well. The base plate is scratch prone. There can be a little bit of lateral play in the pedals, and they come at a high price. And finally, my wish list. A stiffer clutch with an earlier bite point. A larger selection of different rubber bushings for the brake. An optional adjustable stop for the brakes. And a wider base plate that can stay on the rig for all pedal adjustments. Since I haven't had a chance yet to try out the sprint pedals, I can't really say whether or not any of these issues have been taken care of. According to the description on the Heusinkveld website, play was reduced in the sprints. The sprint clutch may also bite a little early in its travel range, but the stiffness looks about the same as in the pros. A new base plate was designed for the sprints as well, but I can't tell if it's any wider than the old one or whether or not it makes adjusting the pedal positions any easier. And with that, we're at the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. For any open questions regarding the pedals, just leave a comment below and I will most likely get back to you. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more sim racing content like this. Have a good day and see you in the next video.